Hey all, Michelle Raza here with Finding Yourself SATX Life Coaching, helping you find your best self since 2017. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Today we're going to talk about Dr. Gibson's Self-Care for Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. We've been going chapter by chapter, and today we're going to talk about chapter 9, Healing from Emotional Injuries. Please, if you haven't had a chance, check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatxlifecoaching.com. There you can start your life coaching journey for 99 cents. We've just started guided workshop classes on Wednesdays. So we're in Central Standard Time and they're at 6 p.m. And the rate for those is much cheaper than a live coaching session. They cap at 10 people per class, and it's a rotating schedule covering each of the 7 different life balance areas. So check it out. The link is on my website. You can sign up straight there. If depending on how many people are in the class, it may just be a couple people. It may be the same as a live coaching session if it's just you in that site. So give it a try, and it could be that you get lucky and it's a very small group that time. All right, so without further ado, we will dive in. Chapter 9, Healing from Emotional Injuries. An emotional injury reacquaints you with your heart if you're willing to let it. Before we can heal an emotional injury, we first have to accept it. Too often, we reject our emotional injuries and hurt feelings as if they were needless interruptions, unwanted, beside the point, and interfering with our progress. It's understandable that you might want to hurry past them to get on with your life. But what if your hurt feelings are crucial to your maturation? What if they are important building blocks for your unique development? What you are hurt by defines your individuality. Tolstoy said that happy families are all alike, but every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. The same is true of us as individuals. The ways in which your emotional injuries affect you are unique to you. Emotional injuries also soften up that hardened part of us that wants, above all, to be special and in command. This egoistic part lives in fear of anything or anyone that doesn't serve its short-sighted goals of pleasure and control. It sees life as exclusively about power, possession, and protection. It blames and judges everything and everybody, guarding its entitlements by keeping everyone at a distance. Sometimes it takes an emotional injury to get through its defenses. Emotional injuries, such as hurt feelings, betrayals, and losses, reveal what truly matters to you. An emotional injury reacquaints you with your heart if you're willing to let it. I feel like this thing is slipping. Emotional pain drops you down into your deeper nature and into more genuine relationships with others. If allowed, your emotional injuries will open you into a more meaningful and deeper experience of life than the control-obsessed ego could ever imagine. Any kind of healing process, physical or emotional, is governed by nature. Nature takes injury seriously, whether you're an animal, human, plant, or tree, and it applies energy and resources to make sure every weak place is made strong again. For instance, a tree lays down extra whorls of bark around injury sites, expending costly growth on strengthening repairs. In human terms, we repair emotional injuries with mental processing, experiencing our feelings, and honoring our vulnerability in the moment. We also heal ourselves emotionally with words by talking it out with someone. Our obsessive thinking and need to talk are like the swelling and inflammation that follow an injury, a physical injury. It may look like it's making things worse, but the body and mind want a thorough healing, not a quick fix. Nature takes its time in rebuilding our bark. Unfortunately, our control-obsessed ego thinks that spending time to process emotional injuries is almost pathological. Many times, people with emotional injuries are encouraged to shake it off and move on. It is as if we have a morbid fear of getting stuck in emotional pain and never getting out. We do the same with loss and grieving, feeling pressure to quickly return to life as normal. After all, who wants to experience grief? But the deeper question is, who wants to be incapable of grief? The key to successful emotional healing is to accept that you probably won't be the same afterward. The more you fight against this truth, the longer you may take to heal. You're better off accepting that emotional healing usually leaves some scars. Healing is not like a magic eraser. The goal shouldn't be to act like it never happened to you. You may not need to look for meaning in a broken bone or cut finger, but broken hearts and crushing disappointments ask us to understand our pain and find meaning in the experience. That's a tall order when the injury is deep, but it seems to be our uniquely human way of healing. I think of emotional injuries as initially unwelcome guests who over time teach us a lot about ourselves. Our challenge is to find a way to have a good relationship with them, even though they have caused us pain. Emotional healing can take a long time, and even then, it won't be like it never happened. You'll be changed by it. But it's totally up to you to decide if you will be changed for the better. It's an enormous act of maturity to be willing to feel the hurt and integrate it into your life instead of railing against it. The challenge is to find meaning in your healing process. You do this by making it a conscious, deliberate focus of your life, giving it the time and thought necessary to slowly build up patches of wisdom and compassion around all the hurt places. Just like the tree, there can actually be more to you after an emotional injury, but only if you take your healing seriously. So this is a pretty heavy chapter. A few things kind of jumped off the page at me that I'll talk about with you guys. So the need to shake it off and move on. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. I'd have to look up the author's last name, but it's pretty famous. Vander something. Basically, the more you push your feelings and your emotions away, you get physical symptoms that are brought on by your emotions that you're trying to push away. So when something happens and then you choose to shake it off, pretend like nothing happened, keep going, eventually you'll hit your wall. You know, some people are very successful at pushing things away and act like nothing happened, and you can essentially like shut off a piece of yourself. The problem is your body and your mind do not work in such a way that you just shut out the bad and then you can accept the good. You start shutting out the good feelings too. You basically become numb to life and you know, somewhat robotic. And a lot of people are even unaware of that. They don't even realize that they're doing that. And I myself was guilty of it for years and years and years. My mom suffered from Alzheimer's. She suffered and died from Alzheimer's. And I was her primary caregiver for quite a long time. And in order to watch someone slowly deteriorate and then die, you have to be pretty strong. And also, in my case, I would just push it away, right? Because it wasn't getting any better. It didn't get better until she passed. And so most days I was fine. You know, I was extremely busy. And the first therapist that I talked to who called that out, you know, are you that busy, or do you make yourself that busy so that you don't have to think about what all's going on? I fired her. I didn't want to hear that, so I fired her. she was fucking right? She was right, and she knew what she was doing. But, the first principle that Gottman talks about is that people need to be heard and understood before they're willing to accept your advice. And she just came out and said that. So I wasn't ready to hear it. But yeah, I was busy, and just running around and, making sure that I never had a free moment to think about the fact that my mom was dying and withering away in front of me. And those feelings would catch up to me sometimes. And I would just, it would happen when I was driving, and I would have to pull the car over and just bawl and cry and let it wash over me when I was alone, only when I was alone and when I was driving, and it would come up. And so I think trying to just shake things off and move on, I feel like, it'll come up one way or the other, right? Maybe you'll get panic attacks, maybe you'll, spout off on someone, get fired, something, right? But it comes up. So it's better to deal with it and address it on your own terms, right? Instead of having it, sneak attack on you and then you have to pull the car over the side of the road so that you can cry. It might be better to make a time, either once a week or periodically every other day, to journal about how you feel or how sad you are, so that you can bring those emotions up. I think I've talked about it on this channel before, but I looked up on YouTube, there's this rage meditation. I was talking to my therapist one time, talking about my father, and I noticed that I had no feelings, not good, not bad, zero feelings. I was numb. And so then I went and I looked up this rage meditation and was able to access some negative feelings that I was repressing, and was able to cry, and it was very therapeutic. But when I feel myself going numb like that, it's a sign to me that something is wrong, because when you cut off your feelings, like I mentioned, you cut off the good and the bad. So if you want to shake it off and move on, you can try, but eventually it'll catch up to you. So maybe it's a better strategy to, on your own terms, face the feelings and work through them. The other thing here is to accept that you probably won't be the same afterward. And this happens, I feel like it happens not just on an individual level, but also in society too. Fundamentalism is at its core that, right? Trying to go backward to something, and you really can't. Like people who, for example, want to dress up for Ren Fair, right? And be like, everything is fine, like the Renaissance, but you can't ever bring back something that is already past, right? Being nostalgic about your childhood. Let's pull out Twister. Let's all have fun. Let's, put the water out and slide and everything. It's like, you're still going to enjoy it, but you're going to enjoy it from your own perspective today, with all of the life experiences that you've already had, especially as an adult, right? As a kid, it's super fun to do all these things and make mess and everything. And as an adult, you can't shake the fact that that you're going to have to clean up the mess too. So it just, your perspective is colored by your life experiences, whether good or bad. And so whatever you face is going to be with you forever, whether good or bad. And we don't always control the things that happen to us, especially the bad things that happen to us. So understanding that, I will heal, and I will also carry this thing that happened to me as a way of being more compassionate and understanding of maybe other people who have experienced the same things, or understanding that sometimes injuries are not something that we can see, right? The first time that I faced domestic abuse, I had to go to work the next day, and nobody could see that anything was wrong, but I could. I was forever changed and forever different. And I had to look in the mirror and feel a sense of wow, the world goes on. This shit happened to me and my life is in shambles now, but nobody fucking knows, and I still have to show up and perform and deliver, and nobody's gonna cut me any slack because nobody can even see that I'm hurt or injured, right? And so understanding that people around you are often facing things that they are not discussing. Once you have faced something like that, can help you be more compassionate for the people around you who are also facing things like that. And if I had never experienced that abuse, then I would have never even understood certain things about life. So either you grow from the bad things that happen to you, either you grow from them, or you kind of get stuck there, right? I could have taken on just like a victim mentality. Oh, woe is me, this happened to me, and I could have stopped showing up at work. I could have stopped, but then there would have been more negative consequences and repercussions. I didn't stay with the person. I tried to stay with the person, but ultimately life keeps giving you the lessons again and again and again until you realize. And that lesson was basically that you can't fix someone, you can't change them, you can't help them unless they're ready to change you can't change someone, they have to change themselves. But anyway, long-winded way of saying you have to, like she's saying, the bark grows, the whorls of the bark grow around the injury site. So that tree is not perfect anymore. It's not a perfect concentric circles that keep going out. That injury site is going to cause a change in the bark, and it's going to grow just a little differently. But the tree is still there. And so if you are a normal human being, you're going to experience, even if you have a perfect life and nothing ever goes wrong, you're going to experience the loss of your parents at some point. You're going to experience loss and sadness, the loss of a pet, the loss of your parents. That would be an absolutely normal loss that everybody has to experience if things are all going right. And you will be forever changed by those negative circumstances that happen in your life. So I guess the moral of this very, very heavy chapter is fucking feel your feelings, which we've said again and again and again and again. So thanks for hanging out with me today. Please do consider the guided life balance questionnaire classes. If you're interested in just going through it on your own, and you can pick whichever one is good for you, you can pick it. It's 99 cents and you can go through the guided session on video. But if you want the more live one-on-one experience, those are Wednesday classes, 6 p.m. Central, $50 a pop. If you do all 8, you will be well on your path to writing your personal vision statement, your goals. And then if you find an accountability partner, they can help you. You might want to consider going with a buddy to the class. That way you two can be your own accountability partners. You can also purchase one-on-one sessions for coaching. Contact me. Definitely willing to help out. If I've said it on the channel before, but if $8.99 is too much for the full digital package, contact me and we'll work something out. Same with coaching sessions, same with the classes. Always willing to work with people. So check out my site, www.findingyourselfsatxlifecoaching.com. Take care, y'all, and I'll see you in a month. Bye-bye.